Hernandez here, MLH Media, and we are here today for MLH Media Uncensored episode 5 here today on the platform. And I'm here today with the now 2-0 professional MMA fighter over there out of the Orange County area. I know they like to call you Hollywood, but you're putting in a lot of work over there in OC. Shane, how's it going over there, my man?
Very good, brother. Recovering from some eye injuries right now, but other than that, I'm feeling good. 2-0 and still undefeated, my friend. And still.
Yeah, can you guide fans through? Because I feel like eye injuries in MMA, like you see them, but you don't often hear a lot of guys talk about the after effects. Can you kind of go through like the night of to now how you're dealing with everything? Because I'm pretty sure over there at Thunder Studios, there's a lot of bright lights, a lot of things happening in the moment. So it probably wasn't doing the best with the whole with your eyes and all that good stuff. I'm guessing, right?
I mean, I can't wait to just talk about the fight, just because the injury that I went through. It wasn't just one injury; it was 2 injuries to my eyes during the midst of that fight in the first round. But this is the worst, bro. This is the worst injury, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever had after a fight. Like, I can't enjoy anything yet. My vision is still double. I wake up every day. I can't do shit. I just gotta like sleep it off, close my eyes as much as possible. Like, even just doing this interview right now, I gotta have the sunglasses on, like squint through one eye. It is fucking terrible, bro. It is terrible. But eye pokes are no joke, dude. I've never been eye poked. Even like really so much in training, I've never really been eye poked. But like in that fight, I mean, I think half his finger went into my eye, and it was the most brutal thing ever. And it's ridiculous because you get eye poked and they give you 5 minutes to recover, and you take the 5 minutes and you either recover or you don't. There's no point taken. There's no, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got one eye now and nothing. I just have to continue the fight. It's kind of ridiculous, you know what I mean? But in hindsight, I probably should have called the fight off just because I couldn't see. You know, they give you 5 minutes to recover, but I couldn't recover.
And I think there was a situation very similar to that, actually. A couple of weeks ago, they had Jake Hadley and Cameron Smotherman going at it, and for Cameron Smotherman's UFC debut, and he had an eye gouge that was very similar in the sense that he just was rendered almost like completely blind after that. And he was kind of talking about after like the 5-minute rule and kind of going into that, what would be some solutions that you would possibly like to see maybe kind of thrown into the infrastructure of CSAC or possibly other sanctioning bodies that could help? I mean, like maybe a removal for a point with the eye gouges, because like how you said, there's some where it's like, okay, like that was a lot more of that finger going into the eye, and at some points it does really go in and hurt the fighter.
I mean, it's tough to say just because, like, stuff happens, you know, someone's throwing punches at your face, you stick your hands out, like, the degree of which the finger goes into the eye will depend not just on your fingers being open, but how fast the guy was coming in. So, like, it's definitely one of those things where it's just going to be hard to figure out a rule. All I know is, bro, if you get poked in the eye bad enough, you're not the same person. You are not the same person. So, like, the fact that shit happened to me like 2 minutes into the fight was just, like, such a bummer. Because, dude, like, you cannot see out of half of your vision. Over my entire left shoulder, I couldn't see anything. I was seeing 3 of them in front of me. And that was before my other eye got busted. So it was just, like, it is... I don't know if there's a solution for it. I think it should be a point, period. Like, the fact that I had to continue that fight and go to the judges' scorecards with not a single point deducted or added to me, and it just like doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. I'm not complaining. I got the win, so fuck it.
Talk about that fight a little bit, because I if not one of the like probably I was tuning into a lot of that lights out card, and kind of like I was telling you before, I had to go somewhere literally right as your fight began. As soon as I get over there, I tune in. It's 3rd round. You land that hook, and the crowd itself, it sounded like it was going crazy. But were you even kind of in that moment in that 3rd round? Because like how you were saying, you were going through the eye poke and everything was kind of, I'm pretty sure, a blur at that point. Can you kind of guide us through the whole fight in general of what you, Mr. Shane Hollywood Collins, was seeing in there?
I mean, it's definitely the craziest fight that I have ever been a part of, and hopefully will ever be a part of in my entire fucking career, to be honest with you. It was definitely the most high-level fight on the card. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, there was a lot of good fighters on the card, but I think me and him were, like, that was a really high-level fight to just be thrown on a lights-out card. He's a talented guy. Not a lot of people knew who he was, but he was very good. In the first round, like, the first two minutes or so, I was starting to find my flow. I know he'd come out like super aggressive, like he does, try to like swing. So I was just moving, getting out of the way, found my flow, started to find my shots, spinning back kicks, inside low kicks, like starting to find my range. Everything was going according to plan. And then I think I tried to like jab my way inside, and that's when he poked me in the eye. He gave me, Beltran gave me 5 minutes to recover. I took all 5 minutes to recover, and I'm like looking at the doctor, I'm looking at Beltran, I'm like, dude, I can't fucking see. And then I'm looking out to the crowd, I see my family, I see my coaches there. My coaches aren't allowed to, they're not allowed to say anything to me because it's not a break. But I'm looking at them like, I shouldn't be making this decision because I'm going to make the wrong decision. And the wrong decision was probably to go back into the fight, which is what I did. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We're here. I'm going to try to make this work. Probably wasn't the right decision. And then we started the fight, and Sayfulla's bitch ass came right at me and tried to finish me. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? So I'm on the back foot with one eye, trying to get away from him. Like, this, bro, come on, bro, that's dirty. Tries to finish me, hits me with a shot that fractures my orbital on my right eye. Okay? So he fractures my orbital on my right eye, and many things, like I said, many things can happen when you fracture your orbital. Sometimes you actually lose feeling in your face. You can have eye problems. I had swelling in my eye, in my right eye, that caused vision misalignment. So 0 eyes. After the first round started, I was sitting on the stool, and I was like, bro, no eyes. 0 eyes. Can't see shit. There was 4 of everything in front of me. But I just said to myself, I'm like, we're here. We're here. And then the game plan kind of went out the window, and I was like, I'm just going to fight. So that was not how I wanted to get it done. But, dude, like, shit can happen in a fight, and sometimes you just got to overcome that. So I was, bro, this is the craziest experience of my life. I was fighting probably the toughest dude I had fought with no eyes for 10 minutes, and he's, he was swinging hard, but I was swinging back, and I caught him in the 3rd round, dropped him. I think it was the 3rd round. I don't even remember. I can't even watch the fight. Dropped him in the 3rd round. Usually I have a little bit more finishing prowess. Would have allowed him to come back up to his feet, put the right shot on him to call the fight, but he was able to survive, wrestle, and God, it was very close to being finished. And I was really hoping to get his ass out of there so I could go back and lay down, but I had to I had to suck it up for another 3 minutes and win the rest of the round, and that's what I did. So that was bullshit. To me, anytime you make it to the judges, you can't be upset if it doesn't go your way. You're happy if it goes your way, but you can't be upset, especially when it goes to split decision. I was just sitting there, if it goes his way, it is what it is. But I knew I won that fight, bro. I knew I won it. I don't think anyone thought that should have been a split decision, to be honest. I think maybe he won the first round because he swarmed me when I was eye poked. That was the only dominant moment. That was the only dominant moment I think he had in the entire fight. So I think if there was no eye poke, then that wouldn't have led to the orbital break, and that wouldn't have led to the 0 vision that I had. So that would have been a completely different fight. So, but I'm not. It is what it is. It's not great to have moments like that, but in the grand scheme of things, once everything heals up and I get back in there, that's a type of moment, that's a type of fight that will last with you forever. And now going forward, bro, I'm not. No, I don't think anyone's gonna beat me, to be honest with you. I don't. In order to beat me, you have to have a better skill set than me, and I don't see that on the regional level, especially in California. And then what else are you gonna do? You gonna try to break me? But I can't be broken. You know what I mean? I can fight with no eyes for 10 minutes and still win against a high-level prospect from Dagestan. You know what I'm saying? So what is anybody else gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, that guy, just a little bit of background for the fans that may have not known Sayfulla's name, a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I believe he held the amateur California record for fastest knockout at 3 seconds. I mean, it was quite the matchup. I was saying Hollywood versus Dagestan, man, going into that one. It definitely lived up to all the hype over there. Can you kind of speak into a little bit? I know you were saying, you got to fight over there at Lights Out, a little bit more of a local card, but can you speak into magnitudes of how it was to get to perform on the same card as your teammate over there out of Cobra Team MMA, Jonathan Powell, as well, getting the victory with the submission, getting the finish? How was that to get to, I know you were probably a little busy getting everything ready beforehand, but how was that to get to see your teammate come back in the room and shower you with that kind of good winning energy,
This is not our first time, my friend. This is not our first time. I've been, since my first fight in California 3 or 4 years ago, I fought so many fights on the same card as Jonathan, and for those of you guys who don't know, Jonathan's one of the most talented and dominant fighters that I've ever seen in my life. Like, this guy, he fights at bantamweight, but he's one of the strongest people, most technical grapplers that I've ever felt in my life, and he's my brother, you know what I mean? I've done everything with him, so it was kind of the perfect story for us to have this moment, and there were a lot of roadblocks in the way just leading up to the fights that I won't even go into that almost stopped this from happening. And honestly, I don't feel any type of way. Usually, like, it's nerve-wracking when you have teammates on the same card because somebody fights, somebody might get knocked out, somebody might, you know what I mean? Like, shit can happen, and that can really mess with the aura in the back, the environment. But anytime I'm on the same card as him, I don't worry because when he fights, bro, he just wins by pure domination. I don't think he's been hit in his entire career, and that includes his 11 amateur fights. Like, he straight up doesn't get hit, and when he takes people down, they do not get up. So he went out there 2 fights before me, and I was just like, bro, he's gonna go out there and dominate, which adds a little bit of pressure to you as the teammate because now you're like, damn, bro.
Now the next Cobra guy, they're expecting to go out and do the same exact thing, right?
That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, yeah, they expect me to go out there. I'm like, I know I'm not going to win by my fights are a little bit more entertaining, I would say. But that can be good and bad. You know what I mean? So
you like to get in some brawls, man. Hollywood likes to go ahead and get some brawls.
Fuck that. Next time I'm going out there and I'm fucking shooting like Kamzat first round.
We got to see a little bit of a lot of that stand-up being shown kind of in these first 2 professional bouts for Mr. Shane Collins. So wouldn't blame you for at all letting you show off a little bit of grappling, especially after earning that brown belt, man. How does that feel to be able to climb more up the realms in the jiu-jitsu world as well?
That was awesome. It was almost an unfortunate moment because
you couldn't even see it. You couldn't even see the belt.
I couldn't see it, bro. I was like, after the fight was over, I was like in a different world. Like, people don't know, I went straight to the back, talked to the doctor, and then I went straight to the back and laid down. Like, I need to fucking chill for a second because I was in a different world. So it was like almost unfortunate for the fact that like I couldn't even enjoy it in the moment because it was such a crazy fight and all of that. But it does mean the world. That's a brown belt under Jean-Paul Labos-Nayani, Bruno Souza, and Nick Boley. So that's a high level brown belt right there, and I'm happy with it. But yeah, it's definitely something that I haven't needed to show thus far in my professional career. I definitely have a lot of submission wins as an amateur. I've had to use my grappling many times to win fights, but the grappling wasn't to me the way to go in this fight. I used it early on just to kind of nullify his explosiveness and all those things, but my intention was never really to take him to the ground. And once the eyes were gone, it was like, all right, I need to find that shot and try to get him out of here just because it was such a crazy fight. But I'm excited to use the jiu-jitsu prowess in the future and show everybody what's up. Because, like I said, I got skills, bro, and I got skills on the feet, and people they're starting to see that. They've obviously always known that over my amateur career. Most of my fights were, I would show the striking. But I'm excited in the future to mix it up because I'm a well-rounded mixed martial artist, and I don't really have any holes in my game to be fair.
Is there anybody or any kind of organization that you're looking to? I know, obviously, with the Orbals, want to probably get some time to heal up, maybe relax a little bit, go enjoy that beautiful beach that you're residing next to over there in Orange County. But when there's a possibility that we're going to get to see you back in that cage again, I know you're someone that wanted to stay active, especially going into this 2024 year. And I mean, are you possibly looking to kind of, once the doctors go ahead and clear you out, you ready to go ahead and hop back into a card, or is there any planned, or what exactly the plans for Mr. Hollywood over there?
We'll see, because with my team is built on full devotion and commitment to each other. So I'm not thinking about anything right now until my boy Ozzy Diaz goes out. We're going to China in 3 weeks. He's making his UFC debut in China, so we're going out there to corner him. And then John Paul is fighting on the December 6th, I think, show in LA for LFA. So my obligation for the next month and a half is to just rest, heal up, and be devoted coach to my boys. That's the only thing that matters for me. I had a little bit more pressure on myself before this fight, just because I had so many fights pull out. And like I said, I was supposed to make my debut back in October of last year, and I had 7 contracted pro bouts, and I only fought one of them, to the point where it was just like, bro, guys were just backing out so much. So ideally, it's October, almost November now of 2024, so I was hoping to be 4-5-0 at this point, because I was supposed to make my debut back in October, and that's just not really the case. But I wanted to speed things up. But after that fight, like, not so much just the damage and the recovery that I need to take to heal up, but that was a great experience. You know what I mean? And like I said before, when you go through something like that and you persevere, you come out the other side, and like in the bottom of my heart, I know nothing can fucking break me, and I don't see anybody on this regional level who's gonna beat me. So I'll take the fights when the fights come. I know where I'm at right now, and I know where I'm going. So I'm going to take the fights as they come. I'm not worried about it. I'm not pressuring myself to get 3, 4, 5 fights in the next 6 months. Like, the fights will come. I will take the fights. I will dominate my opponent, and I will go exactly where I need to go, and that's hopefully by the UFC towards the end of next year.
That would be an absolutely awesome path to be able to join your teammate over there, Ozzy Diaz. And funny, you be stealing the questions right out of my mouth, man. You're always used to this publicity over there in the LA area, man. So yeah, how is that to be able to? I mean, Ozzy getting that call, kind of to face I would say the UFC is kind of putting a lot of hype into Min Yang. What are your thoughts behind that fight card? And then, like how you said, you're getting to go over to China, man. How is that? Are you excited for that experience? Hollywood's making the trip over to China now.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Like I said, like, my team is just about commitment to each other. You know what I mean? That is what makes us so special, and that's why we're 10-0 as a team. In only 6 months, I think we're 10-0 now. It's the commitment that we have towards each other and the devotion that we have. So I could not be happier for Ozzy. This guy is such a hard-working dude. He's the nicest fucking person in the world, and he's the type of guy who would rather see you succeed than see himself succeed. And that's the way that we all approach each other as a team. There's nothing I want more. I don't want to see myself get that amazing victory more than I want to see Ozzy get the amazing victory, more than I want to see Bruno and John Paul and Jonathan get the victory. So that's what makes it so special. And Ozzy's had such a tough road to get to this position. Obviously, he only had the one loss to Joe Pyfer on the Contender Series, with a lot of shit that I won't even talk about as to why the fight went the way it did. So I can't be more happy for him to get this opportunity. And as far as the matchup goes, I love the matchup. It's going to be a banger of a fight. I mean, these are two guys that, I can't pronounce Ozzy's opponent's name, to be honest, but obviously I know a lot about him. He's a young guy. Most people don't know that. I think he's only 25 years old, so he's a young guy, but he has a lot of fights. Most of his fights end in the first round by knockout, and most of Ozzy Diaz's fights end in the first round by knockout. So it's going to be a banger of a fight. We definitely need to stay patient, read the environment, and try to make the best best decisions that we can inside the cage in order to get that victory. But I think Ozzy's composure, his experience, and really is just destiny, I think, at this point for him. So I'm completely confident he's going to go out there and take that guy's lights out in Macau.
UFC making its return to Macau, China, November 23rd over there. And we're going to have Figueiredo, I believe, over there, and that main event should be a fun one. Yeah, ooh, that's gonna be a fun one, man. But just speaking a little bit more about what's going on in the UFC, we just seen a killer 145 title picture go down this past weekend, UFC 308. I know you had your fight going on that same day, but were you perhaps able to watch kind of anything afterwards and kind of get to keep up? Because I know you're someone who likes to keep up with what's going on over there at the top levels as well.
No, I think that's one of, at the end of the day, like, a lot of fighters, they're not like too into the sport, because they deal with the sport so much. But I'm a mega fan. I watch every prelim fight on every fight night. I watch everything, and I was a little bit nervous just because, like, on fight day, you don't really want to be watching other people's fights because people get knocked out, and then you're like, fuck.
Yeah,
and I got to go fight later in the night, but We did our shakeout at the UFC gym, and the UFC gym plays all the pay-per-views, and that pay-per-view was in the middle of the day. So I was doing my shakeout Saturday morning and was watching the main card of the fight in Abu Dhabi. It was amazing. I think I watched the Ankalaev fight, and then Chimaev, Whitaker, and then obviously Topuria and Holloway. And bro, those are some good fights. Chimaev is a beast. I did not think he was going to whip through Whitaker that quickly, but I mean, it was crazy. And then that main event was epic. I got a lot of respect for both guys. I've admired both guys for so long. I've taken so many things from both of those fighters, Ilya especially over the last couple of months, studying a lot of his tape, a lot of his film. I took a lot of things from Holloway early in my career as well. But that's kind of how I saw the fight playing out. With Topuria. Topuria is like, people don't know, he's extremely well-rounded. He has the wrestling, obviously the boxing, and the way he approaches the fights, I just felt like he was going to get it done. I've studied a lot of Topuria. I've tried to mimic a lot of things in his game. He has a very similar approach to fights. Him and like Alex Pereira, those two right now, to me in the striking, are they're the most efficient fighters on the roster to me. They do very little, but yet get a lot done. There's not a ton of excess movement. There's not a ton of excess shot selection. Everything is very precise. Everything is for a purpose, and they know how to get the fighter that they're facing into that spot where they can just land that shot. So, that fight was a banger. I felt like once Topuria was able to corral Holloway to the fence, he'd be able to land that hard shot. And that was definitely watching him and Pereira really over the last year or so has been kind of eye-opening in terms of MMA, because I think a lot of people, they put a ton of emphasis on volume, a lot of different shots to try to wear down your opponent, but at the end of the day, mixed martial arts is 4-ounce gloves, bro. And if you land a lateral shot like a hook, like left hook seems to be the most powerful shot in MMA right now. And you see this from both of those guys. They have such mastery of the left hook, and if you put a left hook with 4-ounce gloves on somebody's chin, it's going to be over. So, that was an amazing fight, and I was hoping that like Topuria would kind of pull through, because I have been watching a lot of Topuria, and I was part of my game plan also for this Sayfulla fight was to try to get him close to the fence and land those bigger shots. So part of me was hoping that Topuria kind of would win, and so it gave me a little bit of boost of confidence going into the fight on Saturday night.
I was just about to say, I feel like you and Topuria have a very similar approach in some sort of aspects, but I know that some fighters obviously don't like the comparisons, but I would definitely say that that front pressure that Topuria brings is almost like it's something we haven't really seen so far in MMA, and like how you said, his ability to be able to get guys and corral them and get them against the fence. Like, I feel that's another thing a lot of fight fans don't possibly look at, is how important the fence is to everything. Because if you are like a manager of the fence and you're truly a general in the ring, and you're able to bring that to the cage, like how Ilya's been able to make that kind of transformation, I think that's another big thing that like no one's kind of talking about, and I feel like it's just so obvious. Like anybody that's watched fighting before can see that. Would I be wrong in that, or?
That's the biggest thing I talk about with my guys as well. Knowing it's okay to exchange in an MMA fight, but you have to know where to exchange, and that's the biggest thing. That's something that Topuria, I think, has mastered. And it's okay to get into the pocket and swing a little bit, but you want to do it on your terms. Momentum is something that is like it's very rarely talked about when it comes to the strikes in MMA. When you exchange big punches, it's always dangerous when you do something big, you do something explosive in the center of the cage, and it's more dangerous, it's extremely dangerous if you do something big and explosive when your back is on the fence. That's where you see guys get knocked out. That's where you see guys shoot for takedowns and get kneed in the face. That's where a bunch of shit that you don't want to happen, all that chaos you can try to avoid, and a big part of that is where you position yourself in the cage before you decide to take those risks. So I think I used a lot of the Topuria pressure, but if you watch my fight against Sayfulla as well, like I would exchange with him, but I would exchange with him if I was going forward and he was on the back foot. Anytime he was in the center, I'd use my lateral movement, keep my back off the fence, get away, find your way back to the center, and then start to establish some sort of forward momentum where you can then land those shots and start to get your offense going. But I feel like just watching a lot of fights recently, you realize like how big it is, that cage positioning. If your back is on the fence, only a few people in the history of MMA have been able to successfully win fights on the back foot. Like Adesanya comes to mind as somebody who's like really good at kind of touching somebody and moving off and angling, but it's really difficult to move away and angle off when your back is towards the fence. That's why you see guys, and Topuria's the best at it, where you'll throw at him, he'll eat a shot, but you'll be right in front of him with your back on the fence, and he'll land something big. Even guys like O'Malley, like really good on the back foot. He's able to touch on the back foot well, but he doesn't commit to anything substantial on the back foot. A lot of his knockouts come when he's pressuring guys forward. So that's something that I think if you pay attention to when you're watching fights, you'll see more is how important that cage positioning is in the fight.
Dropping a little bit of knowledge for all the listeners over there at home that possibly don't have that fight insight and fight knowledge over there that my guy Shane Collins has over there out of Cobra Team MMA. Anybody else that you wanted to thank before we hop off on this call today? Really appreciative of your time and being able to hop on despite all the circumstances, my man.
Of course, brother, of course. I appreciate you bringing me on. This is cool. Met you at the A1 Combat after my pro debut, so it was cool.
Hell of a celebration after that win, by the way, as well. I still marvel at that celebration. It's probably one of the funniest ones I've seen.
Come on, dog. You know how it is. But other than that, I just want to thank my team first and foremost. Without them, I wouldn't be here. Without them, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And Ozzy Diaz coming up here, Jean Paul after that, and hopefully I'll get back in there once I heal up. Again, not in too big of a rush. Got to take care of the eyes, bro. If you can't see, you can't fight. So, just a word of advice: keep your goddamn fingers out of people's eyes when you're fighting. All right, that would be really helpful. Okay, so anybody out there listening, don't end up like my ass right now, bro. Come on. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I think the healing process will do wonders over there in the Orange County area, and you're going to be taking good care of yourself as you always do, my man. So I have full faith that you will be making that recovery. Thank you so much for joining the platform today. Michael Hernandez, MLH Media Uncensored, Episode 5, and we are going to be signing out.